There is a grain growing wild in American fields right now with more protein than beef, more iron than spinach, and all 9 essential amino acids your body cannot make on its own. It fed the Aztec Empire for 8,000 years. It represented up to 80% of their calories. In the 1980s, NASA selected it as astronaut food for missions to Mars. The Spanish conquistadors made growing it punishable by death. Hernán Cortés personally threatened to cut off the hands of anyone he found cultivating it. The plant is amaranth. 6,000 years ago, someone in the Tehuacan Valley of Mexico stored seeds in a cave. When archaeologists opened it in the 20th century, they found pale amaranth seeds the size of pinheads, identical to the plant growing as a weed across 3 continents today. By 4000 BC, amaranth had spread 200 miles from its origin. By 1000 BC, it appeared in India. By 800 BC, it was being cultivated alongside sacred crops in the Andean highlands. This was not accidental. This was intentional cultivation by civilizations separated by oceans who independently decided this seed was worth protecting. What did they know that we forgot? In 1519, Cortés arrived in Tenochtitlan and found something that horrified him. The Aztecs were mixing amaranth with human blood during religious ceremonies, forming paste into statues of their gods, then breaking them apart and eating them. To Cortés, this was not just paganism. This was a threat to his entire colonial project. The Aztecs called amaranth huatli. They grew it in quantities rivaling maize. Entire tribute systems were built around it. Conquered territories paid taxes in amaranth. The empire measured wealth in bushels of these tiny seeds, not because amaranth was merely nutritious, because it made empire possible. Cortés understood this. He understood that a people who could feed themselves without European crops could resist European control. So he did not just ban amaranth, he declared war on it. Fields were burned, seeds destroyed. Anyone caught growing amaranth faced severe punishment. Cortés promised he would personally sever the hands of growers. This was not metaphor, this was policy. The Spanish Empire would rather cripple its own labor force than allow amaranth to survive. By 1600, amaranth had vanished from written records. The Spanish believed they had won. They were wrong. In remote villages across Mesoamerica, indigenous farmers continued planting amaranth in secret. They hid seeds in walls. They grew plants in forest clearings the Spanish would never find. They passed knowledge to their children in whispers. For 400 years, amaranth survived not because it was strong, but because people refused to let it die. When Spanish monks documented indigenous agriculture in the 1700s, amaranth did not appear. When colonial governors surveyed food production in the 1800s, amaranth was absent. The cultural erasure was so complete that by 1900, most Mexicans did not know their ancestors had lived on amaranth. But the plant kept growing, because amaranth does something no grain should be able to do. In 2016, researchers analyzing amaranth's genetic structure discovered it uses both C4 and CAM photosynthesis simultaneously. No other cultivated plant does this. C4 photosynthesis allows rapid growth in full sun and heat. CAM photosynthesis allows survival in extreme drought by closing pores during the day. Amaranth uses both at the same time. This makes amaranth nearly impossible to kill. Cut it down, it regrows. Ignore it, it thrives. Drought comes, it survives. Each plant produces up to 50,000 seeds. A single seed dropped in soil remains viable for decades. Some estimates say a century. Evolution engineered the perfect survival food. The Spanish tried to genocide it. It survived by becoming a weed. In the 1970s, an American food researcher named George Metlgen traveled to Mexico searching for forgotten crops. He had heard stories of a grain the Aztecs considered sacred, a grain the conquistadors tried to erase. He found it growing in the gardens of indigenous families who had been planting it in secret for 400 years. They told him amaranth gave their ancestors supernatural powers. Metlgen brought seeds back to the United States. He had them analyzed. What the lab found seemed impossible. Amaranth contains 14% protein by weight. Wheat contains 12%. Rice contains 7%. Quinoa, the other superfood pseudo-cereal, contains 8%, but that was not the revelation. The revelation was the protein quality. Amaranth protein contains high levels of lysine and methionine, with an amino acid profile similar to WHO requirements, making it comparable to animal protein quality, something almost no plant achieves. Beef is considered a complete protein because it contains all 9 essential amino acids humans need. Most plants are missing one or more. Amaranth has all 9, in the right proportions, without supplementation. This makes amaranth better than beef gram for gram in protein quality, and it grows in soil so poor that other crops die. In the early 1980s, researchers went deeper. They analyzed the micronutrient content. Amaranth seeds contain 8 milligrams of iron per 100 grams, higher than 92% of all foods. They contain more calcium than milk when adjusted for serving size, more magnesium than most nuts, more fiber than oats. Then they analyzed the leaves. Amaranth leaves contain 215 milligrams of calcium per 100 grams and rank higher than 89% of foods in calcium content. The leaves also contain massive amounts of vitamins A and C, more than most vegetables tested. The entire plant is edible, leaves, seeds, stems, nothing wasted, NASA noticed. In the mid-1980s, NASA's Advanced Food Technology Project began researching crops for long-duration space missions. They needed plants that could survive harsh conditions, grow quickly, required minimal inputs, and provided complete nutrition. University of Hawaii researchers determined that amaranth, described as a hardy, heat-tolerant, drought-tolerant edible vegetable, could significantly increase edible plant growth for space missions. The entire plant is usable, it regenerates oxygen, and it could provide psychological benefits for astronauts tending something green during multi-year missions to Mars. Amaranth checked every box. One crop that could feed humans in space where nothing else would grow. Back on Earth, amaranth was still illegal in the cultural memory, not officially, but effectively. In the 1990s, researchers in Mexico tried to reintroduce amaranth as a commercial crop. Farmers resisted, not because amaranth failed to grow, because growing amaranth felt like admitting you were poor. The Spanish had done their job, they had made amaranth shameful, but the nutritional crisis was undeniable. Iron deficiency anemia affects millions in developing countries and is associated with impaired cognitive development and morbidity. Mexico has one of the highest childhood malnutrition rates in Latin America. The solution was growing in fields as a weed, and families were destroying it. In 2015, biochemist Mary Delano founded an organization called Mexico, Land of Amaranth. Her goal was simple: convince Mexican farmers that the plant their ancestors worshipped was not shameful. It was salvation. She had science on her side. The UN Food and Agriculture Organization stated that amaranth as a protein source is superior in content and quality to traditional cereals, packing more protein than any other plant on Earth. It is a substitute for meat, for milk, for eggs, but science was not enough. The cultural programming ran too deep. Delano partnered with the Catholic Church. The same institution whose missionaries had helped ban amaranth 400 years earlier now blessed cisterns for amaranth cultivation. Priests visited villages to encourage families to plant it. The symbolism was deliberate. The church was asking forgiveness through action. It is working slowly. Today, more than 1,000 small farmers in Mexico have joined cooperatives to grow organic amaranth. They process it into flour, breakfast cereal, energy bars. The market is small but growing. In India, amaranth never disappeared. It has been cultivated continuously for 3,000 years as Rajira, meaning king seed. Farmers grow it in areas receiving less than 12 inches of rain annually. During droughts that destroy wheat and rice, amaranth thrives. Millions of people across India eat amaranth during religious festivals, considering it pure and sacred. In West Africa, amaranth is *boncor. In China, it is xianxi*, used in traditional medicine for 1,500 years. In the Andes, indigenous communities still eat kiwicha*, the Quechua name for amaranth, cooked like rice or ground into flour. Every culture that encountered amaranth decided it was essential, except the cultures colonized by Europe. In the United States today, amaranth is available in health food stores. It costs $4 to $6 per pound, the same as organic arugula. This is absurd. Amaranth requires zero irrigation in most climates, zero fertilizer, zero pesticide. It grows on marginal land unsuitable for other crops, but no one profits from a crop that needs nothing. Seed companies do not profit because amaranth self-seeds aggressively. Plant it once, it returns forever. Fertilizer companies do not profit because amaranth grows in poor soil. Pesticide companies do not profit because insects largely avoid it. Irrigation companies do not profit because it survives drought. A crop that costs nothing, needs nothing, and feeds everyone is a threat to an agricultural system built on dependence and inputs. This is why amaranth remains obscure, not because it does not work, because it works too well. Here is what makes amaranth dangerous: it is too easy. Across the American Southwest, amaranth grows wild in vacant lots, in cracks in parking lots, along highways. Most Americans call it pigweed and spray herbicide to kill it. We are poisoning free food because we have been trained not to recognize it. In 2018, researchers surveyed American homeowners and found that 73% could identify amaranth in their yards. Only 4% knew it was edible. Only 1% had eaten it intentionally. That is not ignorance. That is systematic conditioning. The economic implications are staggering. If even 10% of Americans started growing amaranth in their yards, the market for expensive protein supplements, fortified cereals, and imported superfoods would collapse. Billions of dollars in revenue would vanish overnight. So amaranth must remain a weed, economically if not biologically. But the science keeps emerging. In 2007, Italian researchers discovered amaranth contains significant glutathione, one of the body's master antioxidants critical for detoxification and immune function. In 2010, Egyptian researchers fed amaranth extract to diabetic rats and watched blood sugar levels drop significantly while liver function improved. In 2016, Iranian researchers gave amaranth seeds to patients with high cholesterol and saw LDL cholesterol drop by 12% and triglycerides by 23% after 8 weeks. The plant banned for religious reasons is healing the diseases modern civilization created. There is bitter poetry in that. NASA's research on amaranth demonstrates how it thrives in harsh environments, a key trait for future space farming. If humanity colonizes Mars, we will take amaranth with us. We will plant it in Martian soil and call it innovation. We will forget that indigenous farmers on Earth have been doing this for 8,000 years. We will forget that amaranth survived genocide by becoming invisible, that it outlasted the Spanish Empire by hiding in plain sight, that the most advanced technology humans can imagine is less sophisticated than what evolution created when it made amaranth nearly indestructible. The Aztecs had a phrase for amaranth, food of immortality. They believed eating it granted supernatural strength. Modern science shows they were not entirely wrong. Amaranth contains high levels of phenolic compounds and flavonoids with strong antioxidant activity, along with unsaturated fats, squalene, dietary fiber, vitamins, and minerals that most people lack. But immortality was never the point. Resilience was. The Aztec Empire fell. The Spanish Empire fell. The agricultural systems built on wheat and corn are failing under climate change. Amaranth is still here, growing in places it was never planted, surviving conditions that would kill any crop we spent millions engineering. Here is what you can do. If you live in the Americas, amaranth is probably already growing near you. Amaranthus retroflexus, redroot pigweed, grows wild across the United States. It is the same species that fed the Aztecs. The leaves are edible raw or cooked. The seeds can be harvested in late summer, toasted like popcorn, ground into flour, or cooked like rice. If you have a yard, you can plant amaranth intentionally. Seeds cost a few dollars online. Plant them once. They will return forever. Each plant grows 6 feet tall, produces 50,000 seeds, and asks for nothing. No weeding, no watering in most climates, no fertilizer, just sun and dirt. Harvest the leaves throughout the growing season. Harvest the seeds in fall. You will produce more protein per square foot than almost any other crop, for free, forever. This is not a garden project. This is an act of resistance. As one horticulturist noted, the fact that amaranth still exists and people still eat it is revolutionary. A demonstration against the conquistadors by those who saved seeds, ensuring future generations could grow it freely. The Spanish tried to erase amaranth because they understood what it represented: food sovereignty, independence, the knowledge that people who can feed themselves without permission cannot be fully controlled. That threat has not changed. The power structures have, but the equation remains the same. Amaranth grows like a weed because it was forced to become one. It became a weed to survive, but it is not a weed. It is a crop. It is medicine. It is 8,000 years of indigenous science encoded in a seed smaller than a pinhead. It is better than beef. It grows where beef cannot. It survives where beef dies. It needs nothing that beef demands. And it has been there the entire time, waiting in the margins, waiting for someone to remember. The grain with red plumes growing wild in American fields right now contains more protein than beef, more iron than spinach, and all 9 essential amino acids your body cannot make on its own. The Aztecs called it the food of immortality. The Spanish tried to bury it. Indigenous farmers saved it. NASA wants to take it to Mars. You can plant it in your backyard, and maybe finally we can stop calling it a weed.